You are the newly appointed auditor of ABC Limited. So newly appointed, I would just make a note here. In terms of the CPC, we've got a new appointment of ABC Limited, public company and public interest entity. So now I can see that's public interest entity. I know that there are going to be stricter rules in terms of the CPC. During the current year, ABC decided to sell one of its subsidiaries, and thus the FD asked you to reinterpret the subsidiary's past audit opinion as he believed that the provisions created are no longer required. So we've got a second opinion. Therefore, the past profits of the subsidiary would increase and ABC would be able to increase the selling price. You have prepared the annual financial statements and tax calculations for ABC Limited for the past 5 years. So you are doing preparing the financials and the tax calcs, and now you are going to be the auditor. So we're going to have to consider doing these additional services of an audit client. Required. Discuss the ethical considerations, which means I'm looking at the fundamental principles and independence, if it's possible, with regards to the above information for 10 marks. I know that I can look at independence because we are talking about being the auditors. So I'm looking at part 3 and 4A of the CPC to help me with whether these situations are there and how I can go about finding and applying my conceptual framework to addressing them. Remember, when I answer any of these, I need to discuss the threats. 2, now I'm going to say the ethical principle, because they, in the required, didn't limit me to only fundamental principles or only independence. I then need to consider if it is significant, and I then need to provide safeguards if there are any. What am I going to look at? I'm going to look at 1, being a newly appointed auditor, 2, second opinions, and 3, doing the tax calcs as well as preparing the financials. So for 1, a new appointment, we've got to look at us in terms of our competence to take on the engagements, and then we need to look at the clients in terms of their integrity. The only thing I would discuss here is potentially the integrity of the client, because they are asking for a second opinion, and therefore we might have a self-interest threat to integrity. I would look at the second opinion, discussing the fact that if it's a second opinion, I could have a self-interest threat to professional competence and due care if we are not using the same facts that were given to the first opinion. Is it significant? Secondly, preparing the financial statements. Got a self-review threat to independence. Is it significant? Yes, because we are a public interest entity. Therefore, we cannot prepare the financials and audit. Same with the tax calculations. A self-review threat to independence. Is it significant? Yes, because we are a public interest entity. Therefore, we cannot, there are no safeguards, we cannot do the tax calculations and be auditors. Okay, let's quickly have a look at the solution. Okay, so quick look at the solution, guys. First section identified 321. Remember, this has been revised too, so you need to look at the new one. So you first identify that this is the relevant section. They've asked you to reinterpret, to give a second opinion. So you state the information from the scenario to show this is the relevant section. You then apply the conceptual framework. This is a self-interest threat to professional competence and due care. I then discuss the significance. And then, where I would generally put safeguards, I could, but there is the new point in the section that says you cannot provide a second opinion regarding an opinion on financials. So I don't put down safeguards because this vetoes the safeguards. No such safeguards. Then, looking at the accounting records and preparing financial statements, you state here you have been doing it for 5 years. Now you are auditors, so there will be a self-review threat. It is significant because it's a public interest entity. You are not allowed to. No safeguards because of the public interest entity. 604, newly appointed auditors, but you have been doing the tax calcs for 5 years. So you're proving that you will be reviewing the work that you have done. It's significant because it's a public interest entity. Once again, we cannot do it per section 604. And that is the CPC.